thunder. I might be singing your song. I probably mess up these words, then sing this shit all wrong. You know I'm stealing your daughter. You know I'm beating your son. We all know this idea is wrong, but nobody's stepping up. Yeah.
I'm Dr. Joshua Piper, this is Professor Rocky Ramirez, and I want to welcome you to the first episode of the Massive Aggressive Show.
Yes, want to introduce ourselves a little bit. What is this show about? We kind of don't know yet. We're just going to go with it. There's a bunch of topics that me and Josh have talked about in the past. Like, man, this would be an awesome topic for some podcast or anything like that, a blog. So we throughout we started talking about this a few months ago.
Almost a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. And I think, he's got a notepad. I got an iPhone full of ideas. So we're just going to throw them out there. Maybe you guys can relate. Or maybe you guys just get a laugh out of them, out of what we experienced, being both of us own businesses. I own a gym. He owns a rehab clinic. They both work perfectly together. Everybody beats themselves up, like I told Josh, in the gym with the weights and jiu-jitsu, boxing, all that. And then they go see Josh to get fixed up. So it works perfect. But yeah, we don't know what this show is really going to be about. We just know it's massive aggressive is the topic, like passive aggressive. People use that word passive aggressive, I think, because they're sensitive, and so a lot of our topics are about sensitive, not subject, but sensitive people.
Sensitive people.
That's one topic. But anyway, yeah, we like to introduce ourselves, who we are, and this is, like I said, this is our first show. We've never done this before. I think I've done interviews. This is totally different. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and maybe you get a laugh out of it. We'll see, right? But anyway, let Josh introduce himself, a little bit about himself.
So I'm Dr. Joshua Piper. I was born and raised in Hawaii. Went to school in Oregon for a year before joining the Army. I spent 8 years as an infantryman with the active duty military. When I got out, in 2006, moved up to New Mexico and spent 4 years on various Title 32 orders or active duty orders with the New Mexico Army National Guard. Once I got out of the National Guard, I went back to school and became a doctor of naturopathic medicine. I know a lot of you guys have no idea what that is, but we are manual medicine providers. We're connective tissue specialists. And we fall into the manual medicine and rehabilitation field, similar to a chiropractor or a physical therapist. I'm the owner of the sports medicine clinic here in Rio Rancho, and I share a building with the Westside Power Gym and Rocky Ramirez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here in New Mexico. So with that note, hand you back over to Rocky.
So I'll make it real quick. Originally from California, Riverside, California. Lived in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Then from Las Cruces, New Mexico, joined the military, kind of got around. Ended up in Raton. In the military, I was a fireman, and then Raton, I was a fireman, and then Raton is where I got my experience with powerlifting. I got certified as a personal trainer. I started playing around with some MMA. I was studying martial arts, Kaju Kembo and Hakuryu Jiu-Jitsu. And my Hakuryu Jiu-Jitsu sensei knew Greg Jackson, introduced me, and that was it. Moved here in 2000 I started training with Greg Jackson in 2004. I moved here about 2006, 2007, around that time. And then fought, did a lot of grappling tournaments under Greg, and then and smokers under Coach Winklejohn, and then started my professional career, and then I retired in 2016 was my last fight, and then since then I've been training fighters. I've been teaching jiu-jitsu, training powerlifters. This gym has been open since 2010, and so the first 6 years I was still fighting professionally and doing this, but now this is what we do now. And like Josh said, he's part of the gym. He owns his clinic right next door. So it's a good partnership. That get beat up here at the gym and beat yourself up, and then go get fixed and adjusted. It's perfect. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So today's episode is going to be about inconsiderate people. Basically people who don't respect your time, and if they don't respect your time, they don't respect what?
If they don't respect your time, I say they don't respect the gym. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, this is a great, because this has just happened recently. So I'm going to go off and say, member A does not pay his gym dues. I notify member A, your dues didn't go through, what's going on? Oh, I got a new card, let's meet up. Can I meet you this afternoon? Yeah, I'm available at 4 o'clock. Doesn't show. First off, his dues didn't go through. That's a warning sign, even though it happens to everybody, and sometimes it's something simple like, you know, got a new card, my card got stolen, you know, something like that. That's cool, but this was a new card situation. Come in for, no show. Okay, no PIN number, right? So no feelings hurt on my side, just no PIN number. And then of course, 5 days later, hey, can I meet you tonight? Well, it's Sunday, I'm off, but I tell you what, I'll meet you at 7 o'clock. I can swing by. Come by 7, no show. So now that upsets me because I took the time off of my day off to come in so we can get your new card number, and you just stood me up. Then 3 days later passes, same person, member A, hey, I can come in now. So you're supposed to come in 3 days ago on Sunday, what happened? No answer, no reply. So I reply back, look, if you want to meet to clear your membership, I'm going to be done with my class at 8 o'clock. Come in at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock comes, nobody shows. So it's 3 times already. Member, whatever A just said, still notifies me the 4th time, hey, are you at the gym now? No, not the gym. Actually, be best if you just don't even worry about it. We'll just cut ties here. What are you talking about? Why are we cutting ties? Because if you keep standing me up, or you keep telling me to meet you at this time and you don't show up, you obviously do not give a damn about my time. How am I gonna see that you care about the gym? You know what I mean? Like,
right?
A rule is what's my biggest rule here at the gym is re-rack your weights. I think that's a lot at a lot of gyms, but a lot of gyms don't really enforce it. That's a big one here. Re-rack your weights. So I know already off the bat that's a rule. He obviously doesn't care about my time. He's not going to really care about a simple rule like that.
Lights?
Yeah, he's going to be the guy that doesn't turn the lights off. He's going to be the guy that doesn't re-rack his weights. He's going to be the guy that lets people in, you know.
Tracks mud through the door without cleaning it up.
You know, owning the gym, you're always going to deal with a bunch of different kind of members. You know, some members you don't really mesh good with. They don't like you, or it's not even they don't like you. They're just really quiet. You know me, I'm a talkative person. I have some members that do not want to talk. They're just like, hello, and look at the ground and walk. That's fine with me, you know, but at least, you know, those people pay, those people re-rack their weights, and that's where it gets to. I don't want to have to deal with that, you know. I don't have to deal with the heartache of this, the pain of this guy constantly just breaking little rules. So anyway, the topic is inconsiderate. I find that's I don't know if you've ever experienced that with a patient or somebody that doesn't show up, for their appointments.
Right, I would have to agree with that. I think in the medical field, the biggest incidence of rude or inconsiderate patients is going to be just that. We get the no call, no show, where they don't call, they don't even show up for their appointment, so you lose automatically however much money you are going to make if you have a patient in that slot. Which brings up a different point, which is kind of interesting within my profession, is the reminder calls. Is now it's become one of those industry accepted standards, or part of the, what do you call, the client retention system, to call all of your patients 1 or 2 days before to remind them they have an appointment. But when I grew up, I was taught that if you made a commitment, it was your responsibility to make and keep that commitment. So it just blows my mind that this is a standard now, that everyone calls grown people to say, hey, you made an appointment tomorrow. I want you to come in. Please come in. It's just insanity.
It is. And I don't want to say, I don't really think it's like, well, we're an old school, older generation. I just think that's common sense. If I make an appointment and I don't show up, that's my fault. That's not anybody else's fault but mine. What's the doctor's responsibility is to do a checkup. If I need something done, my blood drawn, or I have a sore throat for weeks, that's their job. Their job is not to make sure I wake up.
Right.
You know, I tell people that all the time. Like, hey, if you wanna pay me $10,000, I'll be your alarm clock. But that's gonna be in the price. If I'm just charging you for a session, that is being paid. You're paying that much money for me to train you, and that is it. Not to wake you up, not to remind you, not to go through your refrigerator and throw away all your bad food.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is not, what was that old TV show on MTV with the trainers? They'd come to the house and they'd wake them up and they'd throw all their food away, and they'd be up with them at the sun up, and they'd tuck them in bed, and they're like, I'll see you tomorrow. But here's the thing, those are actors, probably trainers too, but those guys are probably getting paid like $10,000 an episode or something like that. You know what I mean?
I'd do it for that.
I'll do it for that. I'll be your alarm clock. I'll take all your food home. You know.
Right. If you want me to show up at your movie set, and sit there all day long and do nothing but fix people 1/10 of the time, call me.
That's what you're paying for, right? That's what you're paying for. And I don't understand. This whole thing. Like, my clients understand because I tell them. I'll have that 1 out of 10 that doesn't understand that. Like, why are you still charging me? Well, it's crazy, man, because this just happened like last week. Like, why are you charging me? Because you didn't show up. I could have put another person in that spot who wanted it, but they couldn't get it because you took it.
You already booked it.
You booked it. But if I don't take your money, I have no money. I could have took their money. You should let them have it. Then they would have showed up. I would have got their money.
Well, technically, they're paying for your time, whether they used it or not.
Exactly, and that's what I basically say. That's your time. Yeah, you already paid for it. And I'll tell them straight out. I actually set my alarm to charge people before their session because I'm like, well, 24 hours have passed. You're going to charge regardless. So I am responsible enough to put that in my phone, charge. And so these members. Or some clients need to, or patients need to put that in their phone.
Right.
Who doesn't do that anymore? I mean, you have to do that.
You carry around a calendar, basically.
Life is so hectic and crazy and busy that you have to basically put down, an hour with my son. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's crazy, but it is. Time is nuts these days. I'm here till freaking 8 o'clock tonight. And it's like, I scheduled this.
Right, it's in there with the alert.
I made sure I had 3 hours free just in case somebody comes barging in.
Right.
and then we have to do a cut and make a second video. But you know what I mean? I mean, it's just that's a big one, man. With the and not everyone's bad, and it's just I know some people might think like, well, that's bullshit, but it's not really bullshit because you always got to put yourself in their shoes,
Right.
So it's like.
Well, have you ever heard what is it called, the shopping cart theory? So the theory goes, right, that a person's moral character can be determined by whether or not they return the shopping cart.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
because there's no incentive to return the shopping cart. All there is that it's the right thing to do is to take it back, but you won't be punished if you don't. So if you go to the shopping cart, Walmart, whatever, and you sit in the parking lot, you can tell basically what kind of person that is based on whether or not they return the cart. I thought it was an interesting concept, and I think somebody did a study on it.
Yeah.
But I believe it.
No, I think it's totally true. Consideration, like let's go to the dumbbells and the weights. You pay. Let's say you pay $26 a month to work out, right? That's to use the facility. That's to use the weights. A rule, and I do have a rule, re-rack your weights, right? People are like, why? I pay you money, we're going to be used anyway. It's like, yeah, but I like to go to the 25-pound dumbbells and know they're right there. not have to go around looking under the benches for the, it's,
Right.
again, you're just being considerate to the other person that wants to work out. Just like you want the person before that used it, be considerate for you too, you know, so it is, it's weird, cause like you just said, there's no reward, it's just being
No punishment.
being a good person, you know.
Right.
If it's a shopping cart, who cares, you know? And it's funny because I've seen some videos. There's the shopping cart officer. He goes to like the stores and he like, hey, put your shopping cart away. And then people get offended, like, who the hell are you? Why are you telling me? Do you work here? No. I just think it's messed up that you just leave the shopping cart there. You should just go put it back. I'm not putting it in the bag. And they literally want to fight this guy because the guy calls him out on it. You know,
Right.
why you? Who are you to tell me what to do? And it's like, but I'm with him. You know what I mean? Like, be considerate, man. Just go put the shopping cart away.
Funny thing is that they knew they did something wrong, or they wouldn't have been mad.
Yeah,
If
it's a
they-
whole defense, right?
Right,
Get defensive.
yeah.
You know, like why are you so defensive? You know you're wrong, right? Yeah, it's crazy, but I think we were talking about that a couple months ago, the shopping cart study, and yeah, consideration. That's what this whole topic's about. You know, be considerate when it comes to shopping carts, making appointments, weights, everything. You know, it's opening the door for people. You know, I'm blessed to be, you know, I know you got kids. You know, we have to teach our kids. You know, that's like people like. I never thought in my life I'd be a coach, you know, for football, for freaking jiu-jitsu, anything that I'm doing, I'm coaching somebody, right? And I never thought that, but it's like, people ask me, like, do you like being, you know, like, you like coaching kids, you know, because they're a handful, you know, and I was like, they are a handful, but it's like, maybe out of that 10 that I teach, one of them will get something that I'm trying to teach them, you know, and that doesn't have to be about martial arts, it can just be a life lesson, you know, I'm all big about life lessons. So going back to our kids, like I always told my kid, I said, just be good, man. Like, it should make you feel good to be nice. It should just be, you know what, I feel good. Like maybe you don't get a tip, or maybe you don't get $100, or maybe it's, you know, but at least you're like, you know what, I did something good. And, you know, the other day, old lady was walking out of Dollar Tree, and she couldn't, like, she was struggling with all these bags, and I wasn't there. His mom was. His mom was like, he's like, hold on, Mom. And don't go yet. And he gets out and he runs and he helps that lady, you know. And I was like, here's a kid that gets on my nerves sometimes, you know, because he's a smart mouth, he's a teenager, you know what I mean. He's
What they do at that age.
He's testing, you know, he's testing the older lion, you know, but he still has that kind heart because he's been trained, you know, to be considerate, and that's a big considerate thing.
Right.
Like, he didn't have to do that. There's no reward.
Right.
There's
Do the
no
right
reward.
thing.
There's no reward. It's just knowing that, you know, you're doing the right thing. I hope to God that when my mom is, you know, she's older, and she's struggling, and her sons aren't there, no one's there, there's just some kid. It's like, hey, you know what, that poor old lady, be considerate, you know. And that's a big thing. It's probably why the number one thing we're talking about, because like we noticed, me and Josh talk daily about all the things we see, like owning a business, you know, patients, members, clients. Like there's so much inconsiderate people out there. And maybe it's not even their fault. Maybe they just never were taught to
Right.
be considerate.
That's kind of interesting enough. That brings me to something I was thinking about as well, is how a lot of companies now are trying to teach soft skills to their employees. And so I guess a little bit more background on me. I teach at the Southwest University of Naturopathic Medicine up in Santa Fe. And I help put together their professional development, their business class. And one of the things when I was developing that class is they asked to teach soft skills. And my personal opinion is once you're an adult, you can't teach a soft skill. Like either you're respectful or you're not respectful. Like you can't teach somebody, like a soon-to-be doctor, that they need to respect their patient's time and be there 30 minutes before the patient's appointment. Like if I have to teach that in the last year of a doctoral program, they're not gonna get it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So then it came to like, can you teach that to an adult without a military environment where there are actual punishments for not doing the right thing, and just a normal right thing too? Like it wouldn't be illegal outside of the military, but with the Uniform Code, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, they can punish you non-judicially and wreck your career for not doing the right thing. And then you can steer grown people into being respectful or considerate. But I just don't think you can really teach somebody outside of that environment that's not a child.
It's totally true. You know, it's like it's programming. They're programmed a certain way. You know, it's like you take an animal, and an animal that's been abused and made to fight other dogs. You know. Let's take example Michael Vick, what he did. You know, with those pit bulls. You know, a lot of them obviously they could not be adopted. They could be rescued and they could be loved. But it was going to be really hard to put those dogs back in an environment where they're going to be around other dogs or little children. Not that they're bad dogs. It's just the environment they were programmed. They were programmed to be vicious dogs, and it's sad because it's not their fault. You know, and it's the same thing with adults. Like adults were programmed to be assholes. They grow up to be an asshole, and it's like you can't change them. You can't change. What's the old saying? You can't change the stripes, or you can't change an old dog's trick, or whatever.
Right.
It goes.
I've heard when like if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig.
Yeah, and that's a military one. But yeah, and then it's crazy you talking about that because like a little bit about me too. I've coached football since my son's been 5, so it's like 8 years of my life I've coached football for the youth. And right now I'm trying to coach for a little older, you know, and so I've been having to do all these quizzes and all these video lectures, and then I take a quiz with them. It's all about, you know, it's like you said, it's about soft, being really, just a certain way that I'm not used to, right? Like I'm like, what? Like I can't do that, you know, I can't do that as a coach. I can't say that as a coach. What just happened? Because that's all I heard when I was being coached. So it's a different era, you know what I mean? And maybe. But look, I'm a very considerate person. I always care about people's feelings, you know. And I'm not that person to be like, I don't care what people think. I do care what people think. I want them to know, hey, Rocky will give the shirt off his back. You know, I want them to know that I care. But how did I get that? Did I get that because I had mean, stern coaches, you know, or because I didn't have that soft, whatever you program me, you know. And right now, me, you know, I do a little strength conditioning for the high school kids, you know, and I'm pretty rough on them. And I always tell them, I say, I'm not gonna abuse you guys and like ruin your self-esteem, but I'm gonna yell at you guys because you guys need that. Because someday, some of you might join the military, and you got that drill sergeant, drill instructor who's just yelling at you, trying to break you. If you've been yelled at before, it's nothing, right?
Exactly.
But if you've been sheltered and just been treated so soft that you're just the best and you're the god, when that instructor yells at you for the first time, you're not going to even know how to act. You're going to either cry, punch, run. What are you going to do? Go insane? You know, which I've seen people break. In boot camp, I saw many of young men break because he couldn't get yelled at. It's just too much for him. But it's. I believe they need it. You know what I mean? It's like some parents out there, and I tell these kids all the time. I say, your parents are there to coddle you. Your parents are there to tell you, oh, you're the greatest thing. And so are coaches, but coaches are also there to say, you suck right now. You're not doing this right, and if you keep doing it wrong,
right,
you're not going to play, or you're not going to be put where you want to be put. You're going to be put on the sideline. So you need to do this right. But I'm not going to say it, so I'm going to yell.
Right.
Because yelling's, you remember that. If I touch your eyes, say, hey, you need to run a little faster. Okay? You're going to forget it. But I'm like, you need to fucking run faster and yell. I'm sure they're going to really remember that. So, yeah, it's funny you say that because I was watching those videos. I was like, what?
Right.
I gotta do what? I can't say what, you know, but okay, you know, you can't do nothing like that you used to be able to do, man. You have to be like really, really soft. And
it
seems
like
sucks.
Tough love is frowned upon now, is what it is.
And I do, you know, I don't really want to go political, but let's talk about like all these people doing like all these riots and like acting like freaking animals, you know what I mean? How were they parented?
Right.
Were they yelled at ever? Were they given tough love?
You know, to a standard.
No, I mean I was given tough love. My mom and dad were tough on my ass, and I think that's, you know, I made mistakes. No, we're not talking about mistakes, you know, in life, but you know, we learn from them, but like I think, you know, I think it's from them, but I also think it's from my coaches. I think coaches showed me the way. Military. I think everybody should. I think every man should join the military. It'll teach you something. You know what I mean? It'll teach you about how to be respectful and yes sir, no sir, and so forth. You know, opening the door. I don't remember my mom and dad telling me open that door for that lady, hold the door for you know for women and stuff like that. I don't know who taught me that, but maybe it was TV. I don't know. You know what I mean? But somewhere. I got that, you know, and I think they should do like a research, you know, and they should do some kind of studies to see, you know, I think that would be a good damn study to see what's the difference of this generation, this generation, this generation. Why are this generation such damn crybabies, and this generation's tough, you know? They make fun of, what do they call? I know they call the millennials, you know, the crybabies, but they also call like the older people a name too.
Oh, the boomers.
The boomers, yeah, the boomers. But it's like. I'll take a boomer down the freaking war with me any day before a millennial. Right. You know what I mean? That's what I want to be on my side, as I don't want to hear if I'm crying the whole time. But yeah, then the millennials will say, "Oh, you boomers just cry too. You cry all the time." Yeah, I don't know. I don't, but maybe some boomers do. And then those boomers are called Karens. Right. Know? So it's like, I don't know. I don't think really it is about generation. I think it's just about. How they're parenting,
and coaching,
how they're coached, you know.
I believe the coaches are huge mentors for the kids that have them, because not all kids get into sports or, you know, something like that. But I think the coach is a huge mentor.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody recently, and they said they didn't have a father, and they were just searching. They searched for that through the coaching, and when their coaches yelled at them, they were like, "I love that, because you're yelling at me like you would, like a father would yell at his son. You don't do this.
Right. You need to do this and this.
And that was crazy to hear him say that, because I was like, yeah, we're coaches, we're not your daddies, but if you look at it, you are to some of these young men who don't have fathers, who don't have somebody to get on them. Because mom's gonna love them, coddle them, because she feels bad. Like, you don't have a dad. I'm just assuming, you know, that's what they're saying. You know, you don't have a dad. I'm here. I love you, my baby boy. You're the only man in my life. You know, so they do a lot of that coddling stuff, and I think they look like, well, you know, they look for, well, I need somebody to be stern to me too, you know. That's an important thing, you know. My kids, I'll use my kids for example. They kind of try to push their mom around, you know what I mean, and I get onto them, and at the end of the day, they're very respectful to me, and they give me the love, they hug me, they tell me they love me, they tell me have a good day, blah blah blah. But when it comes down to naughtiness, and I got that finger out, I'm gonna cut that shit. They cut that shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
They need that. They need the mom, and they need the dad. And
right.
That's not saying sometimes you see sometimes the dad's soft.
Right.
You know, and the dad's real soft, and the mom's real freaking hardcore. So it doesn't have to be the mom and dad. You know, it could be either or. The one's tough, but you gotta have the dad copy.
Right. That's why I like to refer to it as the hammer. Right? Somebody has to be the hammer.
Yep, somebody has to be.
Doesn't matter if it's dad, mom, or if you got two moms or two dads, somebody's got to be a hammer.
But both, you can't have two hammers.
You can't have two hammers either, though. That's bad.
Yeah. And that kid's just gonna rebel, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're like, damn.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
you do have to have a coddler, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think my mom was the hard one.
In hindsight, I used to think my dad was the hammer. But when I was an adult and I got to see them in action, my mom is the hammer.
So funny. I got a funny story. So my dad, my dad's. If anyone's met my dad, known as Pops, he's the older gentleman around here. He coaches one of the boxing classes on Saturday. Real soft spoken, right? Real little Mexican man. You'll never see him yell. A couple of years ago, went down to see all his brothers, right? And every brother was just telling me how crazy my dad was. He'd get in fights, and it kind of reminded me of me, right? But now he's not like that. So I'm like, this old dude? Like, this old dude was a hellraiser? Yeah, dude, that was crazy. Like, he would just go in a bar and just look for anybody to fight. I'm like, well, damn, I didn't go that far, you know what I mean? I'd pick a fight for somebody who deserved to have a fight, or somebody picked a fight on me. I wouldn't just go in a bar and be like, hey, you, biggest guy, let's fight. I guess that's how my dad was, He had that little man syndrome. And then now he's so soft-spoken and stuff, but he is the and I think when him and my mom were together, you know, and I was with both of them, my mom was the stern one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was the freaking bring out the belt and the broom and whatever, you know what I mean? The old traditional, you know, chancla mom. And then my dad was just like, you know, he never said a word until it was too late, you know? I remember one time, like, I flipped a kid off. And here's the thing, like, you know, my dad's a traditional Mexican, you know, traditional, not this, you know, like suburban family, like, son, you can't do that, you know, and I flipped this girl off, but I didn't flip her off with the middle finger. I think I flipped her off with the ring. Yeah, I flipped her with the ring because I knew the middle finger was bad.
Right.
But just the gesture, you know, my father saw that I was trying to flip her off. He beat the shit out of me. And I'm not saying he beat the shit out of me like this. He did that when we were, you know, he was teaching me how to box. But he grabbed me, he embarrassed the shit out of me. You don't ever do that, you know what I mean? And that was the thing about my dad, you know, he didn't have to be mean all the time. It's just like, you knew when you fucked up, you know? My mom was just, my mom, you couldn't do nothing with my mom.
Right.
That was back in the day, you know? She's a different woman now, too. She's gentle, too. Her and my dad are gentle souls. And I'm like, where the heck were
Right.
you when I was growing up? And my dad's always been kind of like a really nice, calm father, never yelled, you know what I mean? But just to hear that, he, like, you know, like we had a party in high school. Told my dad, hey, Dad, just a lineman gonna come over. You know, my mom was out of town, and he's like, oh, how many? I was like, oh, just like 10 of us, you know, 10 linemen. He's like, all right, and then I was like, all right, we're gonna have a beer. Is that okay? Now this is back then, right? This isn't now, so can't get my dad in trouble now. But got some beer, and I lied. It was a party, you know what I mean? So there was like 3 high schools there, and it was a huge party. I didn't even know it was gonna be that huge. Huge party. Keg was gone. So I was like, well, damn, we need more beer. Well, let me go ask my dad. So I go and ask my dad. I go, hey, Dad, can you have some beer? And he's like, he denies this story, which is funny. And I'm like, he's like, are you crazy? I woke him up, right? First time I woke him up. I'm like, can you hear me? He's like, are you crazy? You told me you were gonna have 10 guys here. You got the house is packed. And I was intoxicated, obviously. You know, I'm high school, you know, partying. And I said something like, oh, come on, man, I'm a fucking dick. Don't tell that to your dad, right?
Right.
Well, I learned never talk to him like that. Woke up on the ground, like my friends were laughing at me. I guess my dad knocked me out, knocked the shit out of me. And to this day, he goes, I don't remember that. But again, my dad was a professional boxer, so he's probably lost a lot of his memory, you know? But yeah, and that's when I was like, I've never been knocked out, you know? After that, no one's ever knocked me out, you know? But the only man to ever knock me out, which is crazy, right? Is my father. You know what I mean? So it's like, damn, maybe this dude really was a fucking bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because you know, I mean, I've trained with the best fighters in the world, and don't get me wrong, some of them hit hard that I always remember. Like, ooh, damn, you do hit hard, you know. But never in my life, you know, that I would think that my dad, even though he was a professional boxer, so he probably knew exactly how to hit, you know, and he dropped me, and I guess I dropped and. Closed the door and went back to bed. That was a no, you know. So, yeah, man. I just share that story, you know, because talking about parents, one's soft and one's hard. You know, the soft one can be hard sometimes when they have to be hard.
Yeah.
That's a good example of my dad, you know.
And they should be.
They should be. Both of them should be. Both of them should have that switch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you are always gonna have a parent that's pretty soft and one that's pretty stern. I know with my kids, I'm the stern one. You know, it's you know, it's always getting yes with their mom. But with me, it's like nope, and then they understand why I'm saying no. You know, yeah. All goes down to, I think, going back to consideration. I think it all starts at the house, mom and dad.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Some coaches too. You got some coaches. You can have shitty coaches too. You know, you can have really bad coaches that. They just teach football.
Yeah, they don't care about the kids.
Yeah, they don't really. And I don't think that. You know, I mean, some coaches will argue and say, no, if you're a football coach, you just coach football. I think you do, but you have to make it a life lesson too. You know what I mean? It's like when fourth down, you know, and you got inches to go, and there's 20 seconds on the clock. You can quit, just like in life. You know what I mean? When things are getting bad, you're like, man. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go get a bottle and drink myself, you know, to a coma. Or you can be like, no, I'm gonna strap it tight, and I'm gonna push and see what happens. You know what I mean? And that's a perfect example of like how you use sports with life. Some coaches don't believe that. Coaches like, no, I'm just here to coach football. That's it. Sorry, but hey, that's how they were programmed.
Right.
And maybe I was programmed from some of my coaches growing up. You know, they taught me some life lessons too. So
yeah, I think you see those coaches kind of. Those are the same types of coaches that get a new job at, say, a Division I program and then leave that next year.
Mm-hmm.
They're there for 1 year because they're not actually there for the athletes. They're just there because they're trying to move up.
Yeah.
But that's in every profession. I think in the most part, most coaches care. Like that's the reason they got into it.
I think some coaches, talking to another friend, like some coaches will coddle because they just want to win. You know what I mean? So they're gonna bend backwards for their players to, you know, get what they want, so they can perform good. You know, I'm not gonna yell at my starting quarterback. If I yell at my starting quarterback, he might defy me and throw an interception. You know, so it's like, okay, you're right. I'll let you do whatever you want. Just you're a good quarterback. So keep making your touchdowns, and you can smoke pot in the parking lot too. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna get on to you because you're my star. It's like I don't give a shit if you're my star. If I catch you smoking pot in the parking lot, you're no longer the star.
Equal distribution of awards and punishment.
Right? And it's like, these days, let's use that for example. These days, when it comes to young athletes, that second kid is just as good. He's just waiting.
Yep.
So I think that's why you coaches should really instill in these kids, like, you fuck up, that second spot's gonna go to 1, you're gonna go back to the bottom. You gotta work your way back up. Like, you messed up. That's how they learn. And that's how they're gonna learn in life. Like, shit, there's consequences, you know, for doing bad shit. And again, not just the family. Mom and dad might be hardened as hell.
Right.
But the coach is like, oh, I caught little Jimmy smoking pot in the parking lot. I'm not gonna tell his parents.
Because then they'll pull him off the team.
Yeah, I need him. We need to win a championship. So it's not even, sometimes the parents would have probably, took him off the team, disciplined him, you know, but sometimes, like I said, going back, coaches can, teachers too, you know. I'm not a teacher. I was horrible when I was a senior in history. Bad. I don't even think I went to class. But I remember my teacher, I think his name was Mr. Harrison, if I recall. He loved me. He loved football. He loved, you know, he was a big old supporter, was always at the games. Just gave me A's, man, you know? And I'm not saying, like, I passed it. I probably could have passed it with, like, a close freaking C, you know, C minus, but, you know, that's not good, you know? He should have made me learn more, you know what I mean? That would have made me smarter, you know, just making me pay attention, you know? So, you know, I'm not saying that's his fault, but, you know, that's my responsibility to pay attention in class, but.
Which ties back in, because those are the college athletes that believe they should get the same treatment when they get to college.
Yeah.
And then in some institutions it doesn't work out because they don't know, they're not North Carolina where they're gonna make a class and only athletes can go to it and you don't have to show up and you write one paper for the whole 16-week semester.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's still true. Like nowadays, I looked up this recruiting company for my son about, you know, recruiting him. Like, their biggest focus was his grades. It was all, number one was his education. Number one, GPA, first question, you know, how do you do the last 2 years in school? What are you requiring him to have? They asked all academic stuff first. And they were like, how much is he bench? How was his 40, you know what I mean? And little questions like that, but majority of the questions was his academics. And then that's when I was like, yeah, it's different these days, you know?
Right.
Schools want a smart athlete, they don't want a dumb athlete that they're gonna just end up losing.
Right.
You know, so
you gotta have that graduating GPA rating up high to one, get their bonus. Because almost every D1 school will give their coach a bonus for hitting that 3.8, and then the other one is graduation rates.
Yep.
But again, if I was a college coach, I don't think I would recruit a quarterback with less than a 3.8.
Yeah.
Because that got to be the smartest person on the field. Or like the safety, maybe the middle linebacker. Be like, what's your GPA? Oh, 3.5. No thanks. You can go to a different school. I need somebody that can learn it.
I thought I was a good athlete in high school. I was a really good athlete. I was dumb as hell though. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was smart. I mean, I was dumb, like I had F's, but I just didn't care much about, academics. It was all just a sport for me, and that's one thing I do regret. I wish I would have been more focused on academics.
Me too.
I think that would have made me smarter.
Right.
That would have made me a better athlete. That's what I try to instill that in my kid now. I was like, dude, it's you are field smart. Going to back, he's a quarterback. You're smart on the field, but just how much more smarter you'll be when you're smart in school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's say you're a video game and you have field smarts, so you're gonna get an 8, but you're dumb in school, and so you're gonna keep that 8. But let's say your school points go up and you're a 10, you're gonna be a 10 on the field also. You know what I mean? So I try to give that example, like you have to be smart in school, or you're not gonna be smart on the field. You can't, or you're gonna be. I talked to so many different people that play football and athletes that come to this gym. And one guy said, "Yeah, I couldn't go to a big Division I school. I could only go to Division II because my grades were just horrible." He's like, "That was awesome." Then he had to go to a junior college, play football there, do excel in his grades there. That's when he said he finally took the time and actually worked hard on his academics so that he could transfer to UNM. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's a big key, being smart in school too, than just on the field. Yeah, I don't know how we got into that, but yeah, it all ties around, going back to
parenting and mentors.
Consideration.
And with that,
that's pretty good for today.
that's a good first episode.
We don't know what we'll talk about next. Shoot, he's got a pad. I got a phone full about a bunch of stuff that I find it funny, but also at the same time kind of annoying.
Right, exactly.
I was telling Josh before, it's like we don't know what this is about. Is it two grown men? You said two grown men bitching, kind of, I guess. Like I was all, I don't have a therapist. You don't have a therapist. It's kind of like therapy. I think that's why a lot of people have blogs and stuff like that, because it is a form of therapy. It's like a journal, except it's like everybody gets to see it. You know what I mean? And I'm a big life skills, teaching life lessons and stuff like that. Maybe this will reach to somebody like, damn, I didn't know it was so important to rack weights. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll be considerate.
Right.
You never know. One person will see that and they'll be like, I never rack my weights. I never thought I was inconsiderate.
Right.
You're inconsiderate, man.
You're inconsiderate.
Yeah, put the shopping cart away. Be considerate. You know what I mean?
Call. I'm not going to make it today.
That's it. One person will see this and be like, all right, man, I'll quit fucking doing that, And I joke, and going to the title, passive aggressive, like I'm passive aggressive, I guess. I somebody once told me, like, you're the nicest asshole I've ever met. Because I'll tell somebody something nice, when I'm kind of jabbing them and letting them know that they fucked up, but they don't even know they fucked up, because I'm saying it so nice.
Right.
Because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm considerate. I don't want to hurt your feelings, so I'm going to be passive aggressive, okay? Because you're sensitive. But anyway, going back to that whole massive aggressive thing, like this is what this is kind of about. Like, this is a way to get our stuff out to people out there, and it's not really aggressive, but you'll get the hint, you're like, okay, I'll re-rack my weights, I'll cancel, because I will. I'll be an asshole to one of my clients, because we have that relationship, not just an asshole to any client. We have to have a relationship with this.
Thanks for watching the pilot episode. I hope that you liked what we had to talk about. So if you did, hit that like and hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. All right, guys. Hopefully, like Josh said, we have a lot of content, a lot of different topics. I hope you guys enjoy. You probably will be able to relate to, or you might even have questions too that we bring up. But again, yes, like Josh said, please subscribe, and I hope you enjoy all our future topics and content. See you later.